Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in the world, to everybody. Today is the 14th of June 2021, and this is the latest Jodel webinar, and it's my absolute pleasure to be with the wonderful, the amazing Dannielle Warren, who is going to be showing us all about her book from Bloomsbury, and can't wait to get started. So thank you ever so much, everybody coming along. At the start of this recording, there are 249 people watching live, 252, and it's just going up and up and up. Oh, we've got someone from Canada as well. That's lovely. So we've got a real mix of people, lots of people from the UK, but we've got some people from around Europe. We've got people from further afield as well. As Sonia Vidrizi has just said, no pressure, Dannielle. We'll be absolutely fine. We're all here with you, Dannielle. And it just shows, it speaks volumes on the number of people that have registered for this, which is, last time I looked, 717, I think it was. And as I said, we've now got 261 people watching live. So it's all down to you and your book, Dannielle, and everything that you do for the languages community. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to Dannielle. If you could share your screen now, and I'd like to officially welcome you to the latest webinar. If you go slideshow view show, that's perfect. And oh, we got someone from Budapest as well. Hello, Francois. Fantastic. So I will stop talking now. I would encourage everyone to write their questions in the chat. I will collect the questions. We'll do all the questions at the end. And this should run for about an hour or so. But if it is longer than that, then that's absolutely fine. We can be here for the whole hour and a half. We'll see how we get on. So welcome, Dannielle. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, Joe. Could you just remind me how to get rid of the little toolbar?
Yes, you click on view options and then, or more options, and then I think it gives you that option.
Hide floating meeting controls.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. The lovely Helen Myers is in the background as always, helping out. But thanks ever so much, Helen. That's brilliant. Okay, we're good to go.
Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for coming along. It's nice to see so many people here. I've been freaking out a little bit by how many people have signed up. So thank you for coming along. I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favourite ideas from my book, 100 Ideas for Secondary Teachers Outstanding MFL Lessons. And sharing with you some ways to engage, challenge and support our MFL students. Now, just a little bit of background about me. I've always wanted to be a teacher ever since I can remember. As you can see, there's a picture of me playing schools, probably doing a register or something with my teddies. I grew up in Doncaster in South Yorkshire. I went to university and did my PGCE in Sheffield. And then I moved down south to Southampton in 2012. And I've been teaching there ever since. I was teaching full-time for a few years, teaching French and Spanish to students aged 11 to 16. And I've worked part-time since having my little boy in 2018. Now, I do have a website, which is morganmfl.com, and I've been sharing lots of free resources and ideas online on my website and via social media since my NQT year. I've actually given my website a bit of a facelift recently, and it should be a lot easier to access the resources now. So do go and have a look. It's morganmfl.com. Most of the resources there are free. I do put a lot of work into all of this. It does take up a lot of my time, but sharing good practice is something that I'm really, really passionate about. And I'm also constantly learning from other people online as well, from the MFL Twitterati and MFL Insta as well, which is the Instagram version of that. I've recently set up a newsletter, so feel free to go and sign up to that. This is on my blog, and the website is there as well. And there's a little QR code if you want to scan that instead. So do feel free to sign up to that. It's free to sign up, and you'll just get an email from me once or twice a month, and it'll be updates to my blog, any resources that I've uploaded, as well as some of my favourite things from the world of MFL teaching. Now, I'm really proud of everything that I've achieved with my blog and everything that I'm doing on social media. It's something that I've put a lot of work into, but I'm really proud of it. And actually, it's led to some incredible opportunities for me. And the main one being that when I was just 3 months into my maternity leave with my little boy, I had a really exciting email from Hannah Marston, who is commissioning editor at Bloomsbury Education. And the email was offering me the opportunity to write a book of MFL ideas as part of their 100 Ideas series. Now, to be completely honest, I very nearly said no, because it's just me and my husband here. We don't have family nearby to help with childcare or anything like that. And I thought there's no way that I can write a book during maternity leave. But I went away and I thought about it, and I realized that it would be something that I would really regret in years to come. Especially because when I was a child, it was something that I'd always wanted to do. I'd always wanted to write a book, but I never really thought that I would have that opportunity. So I went back to Hannah and I said yes. It was a bit of a challenge at times, writing a book whilst looking after my little boy. Luckily, my husband was amazing and did more than his fair share of parenting and housework. And actually, for a while, I didn't even tell anyone that I was writing a book. I just told a few close friends and like my parents. I didn't really tell many other people because I wasn't even convinced that I would be able to finish it. And I also worried that I wouldn't have 100 ideas to share. I'm very much a perfectionist, and I wanted all of the ideas in the book to be good. I didn't want any ideas in there purely to fill up pages. And actually, as I'm about to tell you in a minute, some of the ideas in the book aren't mine. They're from people on Twitter, for example, who have kindly allowed me to include their ideas in the book. But anyway, I managed to complete it a week before George, my little boy, turned 1 and just before my 30th birthday. I've been really pleased with the amount of positive feedback I've had from the book. And actually it was a bestseller on Amazon a while ago at one point. So a huge thank you to anyone that's not only gone out and bought the book, but also taken the time to either write a review on Amazon or to send me a DM or to post something nice on social media. I'm not just saying this, it genuinely does make my day to read those messages. So thank you to anyone that's done that. Now, they say it takes a village to raise a child, and I think that's also true with writing a book. It certainly was the case with my book anyway. And as I said, not all of the ideas in there are mine. So this book would absolutely not have been possible without these people here who really kindly allowed me to include their ideas in the book. And thank you as well to the fantastic team at Bloomsbury who were so supportive, who have been so supportive throughout the whole process. So here we have a little snippet of a review from Gianfranco Conti. If you don't already follow him, I really recommend following him on Twitter. He has lots of amazing ideas, and I really do learn a lot from him and from Steve Smith as well, and they have some fantastic books as well. So he has said, Dannielle's book is a little masterpiece that every language teacher should read. It is good value for money, very accessible, very clearly written, and contains ideas adaptable to any teaching context I can think of. So that's just a snippet of the review. You can read the full review on his website, which is there at the bottom of the page. Thank you as well to Linguiscope, who wrote this blog post a while ago. And they've spoken about my book as well as some other books that they recommend reading. So do go and have a look at that. There are some really great books on that list. And finally, thank you to Claire Wilson, who is at Leo Languages. Thank you for sharing sharing this review with me. So she said, 100 Ideas for Secondary Teachers, Outstanding MFL Lessons is a cracking little book, jam-packed full of great ideas. It is a staple for any MFL teacher, regardless of how long they have been teaching. Now, in this session, I'm going to share with you some of my favourite ideas from my book, which should help you to engage, challenge and support your students. But I'm also going to share how you can use some of these activities alongside other activities in the book, and share with you some tips to make lesson planning easier and more efficient. And I'm also going to talk about some of the ways that I've made these ideas more COVID friendly, because obviously I wrote this before the pandemic, so I'll talk about that as well. I really hope you find it useful. Do feel free to share ideas on social media with the hashtag 100ideas. And also don't forget to try and stick around at the end, because I'll be running a giveaway where you'll have the opportunity to win a copy of my book. So I'll be sharing information about that at the end of the webinar. Throughout the webinar, you'll also be hearing from some other MFL educators about their favourite ideas from this book and how the book has helped them in their teaching practice. So it won't just be my voice for the full hour. And I've also included any other teachers that I've mentioned. If they have Twitter or Instagram, I've included their username as well, so you can go and follow them as well. Now, as you can see, the book is divided up into 9 chapters. I wanted it to be really accessible, really easy to read. So the idea is that if you need a listening activity, for example, you can just quickly skim through the listening chapter and find one that's suitable for your teaching context. So we've got speaking, listening, reading, writing, grammar, translation, vocab, marking, feedback and improvements, and revision. Now, this is the first of several videos that I'm going to be showing you this evening. This is from Sonia Fedrizzi, and she is on Twitter and on Instagram as well. And she also has a fantastic website, so do go and check that out.
Hi, I'm Sonia. I'm an MFL teacher in Edinburgh, and today I'd like to talk to you about this little treasure. Now, if you don't have it, I suggest you get it. It's useful for experienced teachers, but also novices. What I particularly like about it is the structure and the fact that it's so easily accessible. Now, it is structured according to the 4 skills, and it has a grammar section, translation, and vocabulary, marking and revision. I have been around for a bit in terms of teaching. What I like about this book is that every time I get stuck in a rut and I do the same activities over and over again, I can go here and I get some inspo. My personal favourites at the moment are the vocab tennis. Almost forgot about it. The vocab tennis, the revision quilt, or thinking quilt it's called, and the vocab pop. Now, if you don't own one, I suggest you get one ASAP. Bye.
So thank you to Sonia, sorry, for sending that in. And I have another video from Natalie now.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm currently doing my PGCE with Liverpool Hope University in Spanish. So since then, I have been recommended this book by my subject mentor from university, and I just love this book. I think it's great, full of practical ideas to implement in the classroom to make the lessons more motivating. Yeah, I love the section by the activities, which activities you want to focus the lesson on. So if it's
Sorry, it keeps freezing.
Listening, reading, writing, translations. One of my favorite is the thinking quilt. I love that one to check the understanding of the students of the different tenses and color coordinator. Love that. Usually The highlight splash works really well. I love the bingo, the odd one is really low prep and always works really well. I'm currently using the verbs shop with my year 10. You can download the template as well from the website, which is amazing, and I'm just changing the verbs and the students are conjugating it. Just amazing. I really love it. Very good book, very practical, easy. Just thank you very much, Dannielle. Thank you.
Thank you. So as Natalie says, if you go to the Bloomsbury website, and there is a little link here on my PowerPoint, which I should be able to, I might upload it to my website so you can download this if you want to. But there is a link here to the Bloomsbury website where all of the templates for resources that go alongside the book, they're all there, so you can download them for free. So don't be reading the book and panicking that you need to create all of these resources. You don't, they're all made for you. It's just a case of adapting them. So here we have a review from Miss Pete, who says the ideas in the book have helped to make her classroom environment more animated, but not just for entertainment's sake. And she's connected with students and made meaningful lessons that pupils reacted well to. And then she talks about the chocolate game. So this was an idea from Jennifer Beattie, and you can follow her on Twitter at @NowMrsMFL. You can use this when teaching any tense. You'll need a few chocolate bars, preferably with 6 pieces, as each part of the chocolate bar is supposed to represent a part of the verb. Now, when I started doing this activity, I was using Cadbury's Dairy Milk because I'm sure they used to have 6 pieces, but I think they've changed recently and they now have 5. So just something to be aware of. If you know of any chocolate bars that have 6 pieces, can you let me know, please? But basically, you put a label on each of the chocolate bar with a different infinitive written on each one in the target language. There are 2 ways that you could run this activity. In the first, you could use a random name generator to select a student. The student then has the opportunity to conjugate all 6 parts of the verb on the chosen chocolate bar. And they could do this verbally, or they could write it up on the whiteboard. And then for each part of the verb that they conjugate accurately, they win a piece of the chocolate bar. Alternatively, you could do this as a whole class activity to ensure greater participation. So you could give each student a mini whiteboard and a pen, ask them all to conjugate, so you choose the infinitive, ask them all to conjugate it in whichever tense that you're covering. And then you can use the random name generator to select a student. You can then check their answers. And it might be that they've only got 3 of them correct, in which case they would win 3 parts of the chocolate bar. And then it can go to someone else in the room, and then they'll have an opportunity to win part of the chocolate bar. So that I've found that works really well with my students in the past. They're always very keen to do a bit of grammar if there's chocolate involved. So we have some feedback sent in from Secondary MFL, so it's at Secondary MFL on Instagram. It has helped my teaching by providing me with new ideas to use in the classroom and in online lessons that are low prep but high impact. My students love the independent learning folders as it gives them a chance to develop their writing without my help, which has worked well with learning from home. This will definitely be my go-to handbook for inspiration and ideas when lesson planning in the future. Okay, so I'm actually going to read my description of this one from the book. I feel like I should be in Waterstones or something. I nearly said Wetherspoons then. So I created these resources quite early on in my teaching career when I found that students, when producing written work, would ask me how to say phrases that use tenses we hadn't yet covered in class. This left me with several options. I could sit down with the student and explain the tense to them, which of course takes time and would prevent me from circulating the room and helping other students. Alternatively, I could simply ask them to leave this out of their work for now, which would be holding them back, or I could simply tell them the translation, which meant that students would start to view me as a walking dictionary and ask me for translations for everything. I created the independent learning folders, suggestions for a catchier title, welcome, to enable my students to become more independent, and they are now one of my most used resources. The folders include guides on a variety of tenses: present, imperfect, perfect or preterite, conditional, future, near future. Each page gives examples of the tense in both English and the target language. This helps because students are often unsure of which tense they actually need to use. It also includes straightforward step-by-step instructions on how to form the tense, some time and frequency phrases that can be used alongside each tense, and a QR code that links to further support, for example, websites, quizzes, games, etc., to allow them to practice the tense if needed. There are also pages on time and frequency phrases, giving extra detail, giving opinions. In my classroom, I have found it useful to have 5 folders, one per desk, that contain each sheet printed out and laminated. These can be kept on desks or somewhere in the classroom where students can easily find them so that they can access them whenever they need to. Remember, the aim is to promote independence. These folders are great for mixed ability groups as it gives the more able students opportunities to challenge themselves by discovering and using new tenses not yet taught. The student-friendly, easy-to-read format allows less able students to easily catch up if they are struggling. Now, as I said before, I wrote this before the pandemic. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to use the actual folders that much over the last year or so. However, I have uploaded all of the files to Teams, so they can all access all of the grammar explanations from home. And if they have a question in class, I can allow them to go on their phone and to access Teams that way. These are available in French and Spanish, by the way. They're all made already. It's all on tests, and they're completely free. I don't know if anyone's adapted them for German yet. So if you could just type that in the chat, that would be fab, or any other languages. Okay, I'm going to give myself a little bit of a breather now and show you a video from the lovely MFL with Maisie on Instagram.
So as a student teacher, I've received praise for my creativity and trialing of new ideas in the classroom. But really, it's from having discovered Dannielle's book that's really allowed me to bring lessons to life in a way. And what I love about the book, the ideas are so clearly explained, really, really easy to put into practice. And with each one, you get tips of how to take it further, so each idea can be well exploited.
Okay. So one pen, one dice. I've seen several variations of this being shared online, but I generally use this when I'm teaching tenses. So students work in pairs. Each student has a sheet of verbs to conjugate in the tense chosen by the teacher. This could be a tense that you're currently covering in class, or it might be one that you've learnt previously that you need to recap. And the aim of the game is to be the first student in your pair to complete the sheet. However, there's a catch. There is only one pen per pair. So one student starts holding the pen, working their way through the sheet, and the other student has a dice that they roll over and over again until they roll a 6, and then they can take the pen from the other person and they can continue working through the sheet, while the other person then rolls the dice over and over again until they roll a 6, and then they can take the pen back from the other person. The student who is the first to accurately complete all conjugations is the winner. And then answers could be checked as a class, or students could be provided with an answer sheet so that they could check their own. Now, again, that's not particularly COVID safe. And I was actually chatting to my lovely colleague, Sophie Nichols, who is also on Twitter. I was chatting to her about this activity last week, and she's actually adapted it and used it with her classes. And she uses an online dice. So she will click that over and over again until a 6 appears on the screen. And also the students don't share pens as well. Sorry, I forgot to say that. So there'll be one student that will be waiting, and then while they're waiting, they can be looking through the sheet and trying to figure out what would go in each of the gaps while the other student's writing. And then as soon as the teacher rolls a 6, they can pick up their pen and they can start filling in the sheet. I found that when I do this activity, even though there is a little bit of time when half the class isn't writing, I've found that because they get so competitive that they're working really, really quickly, and actually that it's quicker than if I were to just give them the sheet and ask them to just get on with it. I think it's actually better this way. As I said, they get really into it, and they're really motivated. So we have a bit of feedback here from Claudia Franz, who said that their favourite idea that they've used is the highlighter splat. And they used that with a demotivated Year 8 French class last period on a Friday. And instead of attempting to teach them something new, they used that lesson for consolidation. They absolutely loved the competitive element of the game. It lasted about half an hour and they weren't bored of it. It was great for vocab recall. So this is a really great low prep activity from Brona Doris, who again, you can follow her on Twitter. And it's a lovely way of getting students to practice the vocab that you've introduced to them. And again, they tend to get really competitive with it. So students work in pairs. You give them one sheet of vocab between two. There's a picture of one there. Sorry, it's not shown up very well. So a sheet between two with some vocab on in the target language. The teacher then reads out the phrases in English in a different order, and then they have to race to be the first one to highlight that word, so to find it and highlight it. Obviously as well, they need 2 different coloured highlighters. And then by the end of the activity, the student who has highlighted the most is the winner. Trapdoor, so this is an absolute classic, isn't it? I imagine a lot of you will know about this one already, but I want to talk about it anyway because I think everyone needs to know about this activity. But what I love about it is that that the students are using several skills all at the same time, and it's actually a really versatile activity. There are so many different things that you could do with it. So again, I'm going to read this one from my book. So this is Trapdoor. Students are shown some sentences in the target language with each sentence containing several possible options. These can be displayed on the board. Choose each of the options randomly, and the students then try to guess which ones you have selected. So there is a little example of one here. One student starts by reading the first sentence out loud. If they successfully guess the first option, they continue reading until they get one wrong. If they guess incorrectly, invite another student to read from the beginning, and so on until a student is able to get to the end of the paragraph by guessing all of the options correctly. As the aim of the game is to reach the end of the paragraph by reading out the correct option in each sentence, students have to listen really carefully to each other and are therefore unlikely to become distracted. They don't want to repeat an answer someone has already said if it is wrong. One reason I love this activity is that the repetition helps the students to remember these key phrases. It also allows the teacher to pick up on any mispronunciations. And thank you to Stuart Gores, who is at Gorsey on Twitter, for the inspiration for this activity. So as I said, it's very versatile. There are lots of different things that you could do with this. I tend to start it off as a whole class activity. So I will choose the options and then students will read out the phrases and try and get to the end of the paragraph. But you can also do it where a student comes to the front and they choose an option from each one, and they kind of take over and be the teacher for a few minutes, so to give you a little rest. Or they can work in small groups and do it that way. But what you can also do is you can print this off, and you could do a game of highlight or splat with it. So you could say a phrase in English and they have to race their partner to be the first one to find it. You could give them sentences in English based on this, and they have to find the correct option and translate it into the target language. They could write their own version and then swap it with their partner and get them to translate it. You could get them to find the adjectives, connectives, nouns, etc. So tons of things that you could do with Trapdoor. You can use the same like the same PowerPoint slide over and over again. You don't need to create new resources all the time. As I said, this is really versatile. You can get quite a lot from that. So we have some feedback here from Rebecca Nobes, who runs the From Page to Practice podcast, which I really recommend listening to if you want to hear about some excellent suggestions of education related books. And she said, the way it's organised makes it quick to grab when inspiration is needed during planning. And the pages, like others in the 100 Ideas series, are really user-friendly in their layout. I especially like that there is a revision activities section, as it's often at the revision stage that I am lacking inspiration. I can see this book becoming a well-used part of my planning toolkit. So we have here it's a revision activity, but it's revising vocab. So this is my GCSE Spanish Trivial Pursuit, which has been adapted for German as well recently. So at Charles, like short for Charlotte, at Charles Teacher on Twitter has adapted it for German. And there is also a French edXL version on the TES website. These are all free to download. You don't need to pay anything. It's all ready for you. It's just a case of printing it off. But you will need to print out the boards that look like this, the packs of cards, and then the reflection sheet that go alongside them. And you will also need a set of counters. So the idea is that students work in small groups of 3 or 4, and they take it in turns, moving their counter around the coloured squares on the board. The different colours represent different topics. One teammate picks a card and reads out the word or phrase next to the colour that they have landed on, and the player tries to translate while the person holding the card checks the answer. So both the English and the target language phrases are on there. So it's just a case of picking them up, reading out the English, or they could do it English, or they could do it English to target language or target language to English. It doesn't really matter. And if they manage to translate the word correctly, they can move a space. Otherwise, they stay where they are. When a student lands on a white square, they can choose the colour. So they choose the topic. And if they answer correctly, on their reflection sheet, there's a little like circle with 6 parts, so they can shade in the part of the circle in the corresponding colour. The winner is the first student with all sections of their circle coloured in with the 6 different colours. And then at the end, when I've finished this activity, I give them some time to work through the reflection sheet and to think about the topics that they found the most difficult, and therefore they're the topics that they need to spend a bit more time revising. So this is a good one to do if you've got some exams coming up, like some mock exams. That's a really good one to do. Now, Miss Simpson MFL, she uses this Emoji Mind Maps activity for her first lesson in September to get her students' minds whirring with target language again. So emoji mind maps. This is a really great way to recap vocabulary, and it's a really lovely low prep, low stakes activity, which is a great way to build students' confidence before their exams. But you can also use it to gauge how much students know. So you could try it out with a new class. All you do is print out the emoji mind map sheet. Again, that's it should be on the Bloomsbury website, but it's also on my website as well. Print one each out. Sorry, one student. Can't get my words out. One sheet per student, and then students then spend time annotating the sheet with as much vocab as they can think of. This might be individual words, or it could be sentences in different tenses, and you can tell the students that it's their chance to really show off and to show you what they're capable of. And it's really interesting actually getting students to do this after a 6-week break and seeing how much they can come up with, and they'll surprise themselves actually at how much they can remember. So you could do it at the start of the year, and then they could keep adding to it throughout the year as more topics are covered. So as I said, that's a really easy low prep activity. It's just a case of printing the sheet off. Getting the parents involved. So this is something that I talk about a little bit in the book. I think often parents want to help, don't they? But they don't always know how to help. And I think it's a really good idea to keep them in the loop with things like assessment dates, how to revise, etc. So what I have also done, well, I created this sheet. I used a website called Canva. Teachers get free premium accounts for Canva, so I really recommend signing up to that. But I created this and sent it home to parents. But what I've also done since writing the book is I've started using iMovie, which is on my MacBook, and I use this to create video tutorials. Now this is a video that I created earlier on in the year. Some of you will have probably already seen this, so apologies. But basically I made this to model how to revise vocabulary. I showed this to my students in class. I also sent it home for parents, so parents know what sort of things their children should be doing at home. And I've also uploaded it to Teams. So this was created in iMovie, and I will show you this and give myself a little bit of a breather. Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Warren here. I just thought I would talk through a few techniques that you should be using at home to improve your knowledge of Spanish vocabulary and grammar. Remember, you'll have a vocabulary test once a fortnight, as well as a grammar test at the end of every half term. So it's really important that you prepare thoroughly for these. In the booklet you will have 10 phrases that you need to learn each fortnight, with the Spanish on the left and the English on the right, as well as an opportunity to self-assess. Towards the back of the booklet you have your grammar assessment revision pages, and you should read through these carefully before moving on to the self-quizzing pages. These are 6 questions that you can ask yourself each half term, or get a family member or friend to ask you the questions instead. If you turn the booklet around, you've got the answers upside down on the same page. Firstly, you should annotate your booklet using the READ acronym to help you. So you put a ring around the double vowels, like so. Then you emphasize the accents by drawing a line over them. You can put an asterisk over the silent letters, so in Spanish this would be the H, and then double underline anywhere where you see a double consonant. You should then spend some time trying to memorise the spellings off by heart, and you could use the look, say, cover, write, check method to help you do this. Once you feel comfortable and confident that you know the vocabulary off by heart, cover up the vocabulary on the left and try to write it out from memory. Once you have finished writing out the Spanish, take a different coloured pen and check every single word. If you've got an answer wrong, it's a good idea to go back through again and continue to practice that phrase until you can do it off by heart accurately. Your teacher will give you a link to the Learning Apps website, and you can use this to help you to prepare for the vocabulary tests as well as the grammar tests. These are all phrases that appear in your Need to Know booklet.
Le gusta el patinaje sobre hielo y nos encanta el tenis. Me gusta el fútbol porque es activo. No me gusta la equitación. Prefiero el baloncesto.
Your teacher will also get you set up on memrise.com. This is a website that has all of the vocabulary that will appear in your fortnightly vocab tests, and this is a great thing to use to help you practice the spellings. You can use this alongside the other methods that I've mentioned previously in this video. Okay, so despite teaching for 15 years, Meg Sherman has still found plenty of new activities to try out. And she says her students enjoy the fun element and don't realise how much they're learning. And they particularly like the writing preparation sheet in the lead up to an assessment. So for this one, what I do is I provide my students with a sheet like this, with a model answer in the middle and with 8 boxes around the side, which contain headings such as adjectives, connectives, time phrases, past tense phrases, etc. And the idea is that students go through the text and they pick out those bits of language and write them in the boxes at the side. Alternatively, they could highlight them in the text. In different colours, obviously. And then we discuss what makes it a successful piece of writing and share ideas as a class. I then give them a blank copy of that sheet. So it's basically the same sheet, but it doesn't have the model answer in the middle. And I'll give them some time to write in the boxes at the side what phrases they want to include in their own piece of writing. And they could steal things from the model answer. I do tell them that I'm happy for them to take some adjectives from there or whatever, but they can also add their own as well. And then once they've done that, they will write their own example in the middle of the sheet. Translation grids. So students are given a sheet of sentences to translate into the target language based on what they've been learning recently in class. Each word of the translation has its own individual box in the grid for students to write in. And by providing students with the first letter of each word, it encourages them to focus on each individual word in the sentence, and it means that they're less likely to miss out words. So I really recommend doing that. I've got a video to show you now from Liz.
Hi, my name's Liz, and I bought 100 ideas just shortly before lockdown last year, and I've been on maternity leave since. I haven't had the opportunity to put too many of the ideas into practice. I have had a good opportunity to really read through it, and as an aid to teaching and developing my own practice, I've found it incredibly helpful. The ideas are all really concise, and I've had the opportunity to think about my own practice and areas that I really need to improve on. And scaffolding is one of those. And I think there are so many ideas for really building up areas like writing, building from reading through to writing and planning. I think if 100 ideas had been available whilst I was a trainee, then I think it would probably made training a lot easier. It is certainly a book I would recommend to trainees, NQTs, and anyone still at a relatively junior stage of their practice. So I would certainly get out and buy it if you haven't already got it.
Okay, I'm going to give you a few kind of planning tips and hacks now. Some of the things that I use to make planning a bit easier, and a bit more efficient. So hopefully there'll be something useful in there for you as well. And as well as, some of the things that I use with my students to make my job easier. So Immersive Reader, this is something that I've started using in the last few months with my GCSE groups. They type in their speaking answers on Class Notebook within Teams. Then once they've done that, they click View and Immersive Reader. And it will read out their paragraph for them in the target language. Which means that they can listen to the pronunciation. It's worth mentioning to your students that they need to make sure that they type in their paragraphs correctly and include all of the accents, because if they don't, obviously it won't read them out correctly. But what I like about Immersive Reader is that you could also use this to create your own listening activities. You could just type in your text and then click play, and it will read it out loud for you. And you could also do that for Key Stage 3 listening assessments as well, if you were creating your own. And one thing that I like about it is that you can change the speed of the voice as well. The dictation tool, so this is on Microsoft Word. If you click this little icon here on the top right, choose the correct language, read out whatever you want it to type, and it will type it in that language for you. So you could use this when doing a reading comprehension activity, or if you're doing like a model answer. Like if you were doing the writing preparation sheet, for example, you could use this with that. So that's one thing that might make your planning a little bit quicker. Create an MFL Planning Kit. So this was something that I made a while ago. There is a link on this PowerPoint as well, so I'm happy for you to take this and adapt it. But all it is a Word document. It's just a grid on a Word document, and I've listed my favorite like starters, listening activities, speaking activities, etc. Some of which are in my book, but some of them I've also taken from other people online since writing my book. So I did that. I then printed it out, laminated it, hole punched it, and I've attached it into my teacher planner. So whenever I'm planning, if I need a bit of inspiration, I can just look through there and quickly find something. Templates. So I've created a templates PowerPoint with all of my favorite activities, or I'm creating, I should say. It's an ongoing thing. But what you can do once you've opened up your new PowerPoint, click this little arrow here, then you can click reuse slides, find your templates PowerPoint, and you can select the the template that you want to use. Now on my school computer, all of them appear, all of the slides appear. I just have to choose which ones I want to include. But for some reason on my Mac, it doesn't give me that option, and it just adds all of the slides at once. So just something to be aware of if you're a Mac user. Now, Twitter, I get a lot of my ideas from there, so I really do recommend using that. And yeah, as I said, I've taken so many ideas from there. I'm always going back to my department and sharing ideas with them and saying, oh, I got this from Twitter. So they're probably sick of hearing about it now, but that's where I get most of my ideas from. So just a few tips. Use the MFL Twitterati hashtag if you're sharing things, and you can also type that in and see what other people have shared. Follow people who enrich your Twitter feed. Keep it professional. Don't share anything on there that you wouldn't want your SLT or your colleagues or even your students to see. Join in with chats. So the MFL chat on a Monday. Don't be afraid to share your own ideas and resources. And finally, use Wakelet to save your favorite tweets. So this is probably my favorite tip. You can install a browser extension for Wakelet, and then when you go onto Twitter, if you click the little W there, you can then save your favorite tweets. So if you don't have time to properly look through it, if there's like a blog post or something and you want to come back to it later, save it to your Wakelet. And Wakelet, if you're familiar with Pinterest, it's like that, but just a little bit jazzier. And this is an example of part of one of my Wakelet boards. So if I'm lacking inspiration, I can just go on here and have a look through to find some ideas. And finally, I'm very happy to announce that I am doing a giveaway. So this is open to anyone who teaches MFL, whether you already have the book or not, it doesn't matter. If you've already got the book, you can still enter. And if you want to win a copy of the book plus these other goodies, then you will need to go onto Twitter and tweet your favorite MFL teaching idea with the hashtag 100 MFL ideas. So it doesn't have to be an idea that I've tweeted, that I've spoken about tonight. It doesn't have to be an idea from the book. It can be absolutely anything. It could be like a top tip for teaching. It could be an acronym or a resource or an activity or a website or an app, anything as long as it's MFL related. So tweet with the hashtag 100 MFL ideas to be in with a chance of winning, and I will close the competition on the 18th of June, which is Friday. So last but not least, I've got an audio for you now. This is from Karin Longman.
Hello everyone, I'm Karin at klongman974 on Twitter. I'm currently based in the south of France where I teach in an international school. Danielle's book is brilliant. It's really helped me find quick, fun ideas for my lessons when I'm planning. My copy's got sticky notes and highlights everywhere. I like the way it's organized and its layout because you can, when you're planning your lessons, it's per skill, so you can really go for, oh, I'm looking for an idea for speaking or listening or, you know, whatever, grammar, and it's all there. There's always a short introduction, so we know what it's about to remind us if we've forgotten. And I like the fact that there are teaching tips and taking it further or bonus ideas on each page. It's brilliant. I've made my own templates so that it's easy now for me to include in my slides or presentation or booklets. My favorites, it's difficult to decide. I've got battleships for grammar, Trapdoor for speaking, mosaic writing, quite a lot actually. It's difficult to choose, and I would highly recommend it. It's a must-have if anybody hasn't read it yet. Go for it, get it. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Okay. And again, thank you to everyone that's come along today, and thank you to anyone that's bought the book and that's sent me pictures of them with the book or posted it on social media. I really do appreciate it. So thank you to everyone that's done that. And any questions?
Amazing, Dannielle. Absolutely amazing. Well done. Huge round of applause. If I unmuted everyone, I'm sure we'll give you a round. We'll do that in a minute. But that was absolutely fabulous. I love the video insert and how you played them. And yeah, you'll see in the chat there's lots and lots of really, really lovely comments. So we do have some questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Let's go through. I've put them in chronological order. So the first question we had was from Vanessa. The resources from the book are, I think you answered this one already, but anyway, the resources from the book, are they also on your website?
Some of them are on the website, not all of them, I don't think, but they are, the majority of them are on the Bloomsbury website. And I think there's a link in the front of the book somewhere in the book. There's a link, I'm sure.
Fantastic. Are you going to publish the presentation on your website? Is that right?
Yes, yeah, I can do, yeah.
That'd be amazing, because a few people have been asking about the links and everything. Okay. This is a more general question from Doug, who's been an absolute star in the chat. Very interested in Dannielle's initial drive to share resources. Was there a dearth of resources, or those that existed cost too much, or that you found were not suitable? Maybe some people were holding their resources a bit too close to their chest. I'm not sure what he means by that, but anyway. Thank God she did, leading to this marvellous and so user-friendly book. So that'd be really interesting, because you're so generous with your sharing. What was the initial drive behind wanting to share? Are you just a natural sharer?
Yeah, I think I am. Well, I think I am quite generous anyway. I don't know, it makes me feel good, so maybe it's a little bit selfish in a way. But I've just always enjoyed doing that, and then when you get like the nice messages back, it makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm the same. I love sharing, and also sort of matching people. When you see someone saying, "Oh, I want to know more about this," and then you say, "Oh, well, you need to talk to this person," and things like that. Yeah. I think that's really lovely to do as well. That's brilliant, fantastic. Right, next question. So Becky asked the question: I'm an NQT, and I'm finding I have a lot of ideas for activities, but I struggle most with coming up with different ideas for challenges or extension work. Do you have any to share? What would you recommend for sort of extension work or activities that are more challenging for different learners?
I'm trying to think of anything I've done recently. Well, for things like the translation grids, not giving them the letters. So you could give some of them the letters, some of them do it without the letters. I think just removing support. Yeah. Is a big one. So like, don't give them as much scaffolding. Obviously encouraging, if they're doing a piece of writing, encouraging them to use a range of tensors. Oh, sorry, I've just seen a question in the chat. It was Charles Teacher who translated Trivial Pursuit to German. So at Charles Teacher, I'll type it in the chat.
Fantastic. Okay, that's a great answer. Thank you so much. That's lovely. For a question about one pen, one dice. What do you do with the completed sheet? Do you photocopy it so they can have a copy each in their book? Also, same question for highlighter splat, which I've already tried and loved! Exclamation mark.
Oh, that's good. Well, with one pen, one dice, they have their own sheet anyway. With highlighter splat, to be honest, it just tends to go in the bin at the end, which is not good for like recycling and everything. But yeah, so with that one, because it's just a little sheet with a few phrases on, that one will just go in the bin at the end. But one pen, one dice, they have their own sheets, and then it will get stuck in their books afterwards.
Cool. People absolutely loved your video for the look cover right check video, and the question is this available on your website or on YouTube?
I don't think I've uploaded it to YouTube. I will share this this PowerPoint on my website, so people can access it there. I don't think have I got a YouTube channel? I don't know.
That's the next question. Sarah Johnson wants to know, what's your YouTube channel? Do you have a YouTube channel, Dannielle?
I don't think I do. I don't think I do. Maybe I made one a while ago, but I don't know.
Okay, but maybe on Instagram, you'd be a good person to follow on Instagram for videos, etc. I'd have thought.
Yeah, I am on Instagram. I don't share that many videos. It's mostly pictures on there at the moment. Maybe at some point I'll have a YouTube channel. But
So I can see Helen's just asked about, have you got the link for your website? So it's morganmfl.weebly.com, isn't it? Is that right?
It's just morganmfl.com now.
Morganmfl.com.
Yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. Right. Next question. Do you have a template for the vocab learning book that you were showing us?
Yes, that is on my website. I will. Oh, I'm trying to think where it is. It might be on the resources page if you go on there. If not, I'll add a link to it to my resources page. But it's definitely on my website somewhere.
Thank you. And then a similar question. Do you have the MFL Planning Kit available on your website?
There's a link to it in this PowerPoint. So when I upload this to the website, you can just click on it and it'll take you to a OneDrive document that you can download.
Amazing. Right. And then the last question that I've got, but feel free to write any other questions in the chat, everybody. But I think the last question is, are the independent revision booklets part of the 100 Ideas book? Or not? I think Doug was saying that there was a reference to the revision booklets at the introduction of the book. Is that right? Or are those available as well, the booklets that you talked about?
Do you mean the booklets in the video or the independent learning folders?
Well, the person's written independent revision booklets.
That might be the vocab booklets. That's something I've done since my book. So that's not actually, there's nothing about that in the book, I don't think.
Fair enough. That's absolutely fair enough. Fantastic. Right. Any other questions from anyone? We still got 267 people. I think that at the height it was 333 watching live. But if anyone else has any other questions, this is your opportunity. This is Dannielle Warren live in Zoom right now. Put your questions to Dannielle. Let's see. Elizabeth's asking, I could only join in later. Unfortunately, will there be a recording to rewatch this? Yes, you'll be able to watch the whole thing on my YouTube channel. Elizabeth, as always, just search for Joe Dale 100 and I will try to either put it up tonight or certainly tomorrow morning. Let's see if are there any other questions, anybody? I think you've done brilliantly in answering all the questions. That's fantastic. I think those are all the questions. Let me just go to the bottom and see if there's any other questions. People who've just been saying lots of lovely things.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
Which is great. Yeah, Alba is saying, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Dannielle. It was really useful. That's great. Victoria's saying, can I enter the competition on Facebook rather than Twitter?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how that would work because I'm planning on looking at the hashtag on Twitter. Yeah. So I don't know.
I think it might be easy just to make it Twitter only.
Yeah, I think
from that point of view. Yeah, I think. That's great. Everyone else is just saying lovely things. Let's just double check.
If you need any help like getting set up on Twitter though, just if you send me a message like via my blog, and I might be able to help.
Fantastic. All right, Laura has asked, is there a French version of your Trivial Pursuit or an adaptable template?
Yes, there's one for EdXL on the test website that somebody else uploaded a while ago.
I mean, I remember when you first published about the Trivial Pursuit, and I know the MFL Twitterati at the time went absolutely crazy for it, and that was when I really sort of heard about the Dannielle Warren, as it were. It was fantastic. So that was the starting point. I'm sure that was true for lots of people as well. And then, yeah, fantastic. I can see we've had a question about Immersive Reader from Roby. So is the Immersive Reader just on Teams? I mean, basically, Immersive Reader is available right across lots of different Microsoft tools, such as Word or Wakelet or Flipgrid. So whenever it's a Microsoft tool, probably Immersive Reader is going to be there. And I think, let's see if there's any other questions. Okay, this is a more general one. Any thoughts on the Ofsted review, Dannielle?
I haven't really looked at it, to be honest.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Bad, isn't it? So no.
That's fine. And then LB has kindly shared the French version of your Trivial Pursuit, which is great.
Yeah.
have you used Genially? If so, what did you think of it? We're getting into more, like, people are going to ask you what your second favourite jam sandwich is next. Anyway, yeah, have you used Genially? Are you a fan of Genially, Dannielle?
No, I don't think I've used it yet. I'm trying to think which one that is. Is that the escape
So
room?
it's a presentation software, and you can also use it for making games as well. So Marie Aliro, who sends her apologies, she wasn't able to come tonight, but she says she's going to watch the video. She's a Genially queen, has her own Facebook group for Genially, along with Julia Morris. So yeah, that's fine. That's good. Right,
No,
I think.
haven't used it yet.
I think. Let's see if there's any other questions. Another one from Doug. In your video that we watched, you mentioned it was for parents to see what type of things their children should do. How else do you engage parents? That's a great question.
So emailing them, and also trying to build up a rapport with them from the beginning. So as soon as you see a student doing something like particularly well in class, send the parents an email or give them a phone call so that you've got that positive relationship with them like as soon as possible. And then I think they're more likely to be supportive as well if you kind of get them on side.
Lovely. One from Catherine around your planner. So she's asked, will you give us an insight at a future time into how you organise your planner? Because it seems to me, anyway, having seen your presentations, you're very well. You know, you're obviously a perfectionist. You like everything just so. I'm also a perfectionist, but not to the level that anyway. In your presentation, they're just beautiful. They're lovely. Any advice on how to organise your planner?
No, my planner's dreadful. Well, it depends. Some weeks it will be like really, really neat. And then some weeks like this week, my little boy has just scrawled all over this week. So it's a complete mess. So some weeks it's lovely. Some weeks it's just all over the place. So there are people, I know there are lots of people sharing their planners on Instagram and on Twitter whose planners are much nicer than mine. So you don't want to see my mess.
But I can see you're a big fan of Canva, and I think for those, because some people hadn't heard of Canva in the chat. So if you haven't heard of Canva, I know lots of language teachers love it. We've done a couple of Tilt webinars on the use of Canva, and I know you're a massive fan, Dannielle. So that's
yeah, absolutely.
That's great. We've got a question around: is the book available as a PDF? From Deb, because she says I have a reader which I love. Is it possible to get a PDF version of the book, or is it a hard copy only?
It's you can get it on Kindle. Yeah, okay. you can download it. Yeah.
So it's on. Yeah, that's lovely. That's great. Okay. There we are. Mrs. Wilson has got the Kindle version. Well, I'm just going through your last few questions. Let's have a look. Again, people are just saying thank you. That's lovely.
I don't have any other webinars coming up for a while.
I know you've had two. You've had one for me and one for the Association for Language Learning. That's you've deserved the summer off now. That's great. Laura is asking any ideas for S1 icebreakers. That would be the equivalent of year 8. I think S1 is the first year in secondary in Scotland, which I think I'm right in saying would be the equivalent of our year 8. Any ideas on icebreakers? I really like the emoji mind map Laura's written.
Oh gosh, I mean, I tend to use Emoji Mind Map quite a lot at the start of the year, so I think that would be a good one. But then it depends on the group and their ability. I
suppose in the book there'll be lots of ideas. Therefore, you could choose one according to the group and tailor it. Right. I think the time has come. Oh, okay. Last question. Okay, this is the last question, Dannielle. What does the acronym READ stand for? Oh, we also had what does the acronym DOCTOR stand for as well earlier on.
Oh, DOCTOR, gosh, that's in my independent learning folders, I think, isn't it? That was something we did that years ago in our department, and it's I can't even remember what it stands for now, but it's like I can't remember what the D stands for, but it's like opinions, connectives, time frames or something along those lines, but I can't remember it all.
No worries. And then READ, READ, what does that stand for? Can you
remember? Put a ring around the vowel combinations. I've forgotten what the E stands for now. It's gone.
No worries. That's fantastic.
I'll put it up on my blog though.
Lovely. And then, okay, and then this will be absolutely the last question. No more questions, please, everyone. I think Dannielle deserves a lie down. There's a vocab test template on your website in French. Is there any way it can be downloaded and adapted?
Vocab test template.
Does that ring a bell?
No, I'm trying to think what that is. Is it the 5-a-day French one?
So this is from Amishta. Amishta, can you give a bit more detail about which vocab test you're referring to? And then we can put that to Dannielle.
By the way, if I don't manage to answer everyone's questions here, do feel free to like message me on Twitter or Instagram or via my website.
Fantastic. Okay, I think Amishta has gone. I'm not sure. Anyway, it hasn't. Okay, Susan has written, I love this READ acronym and also the study tips. The video was so good. Thank you. Yeah, I think let's just sing. No, I think the time has come. The time has come to stop the webinar. It's been absolutely fantastic. I knew it would be, but it's been absolutely fabulous. And what's been really lovely is to see everybody's comments and just you could feel the love in the room. Let's say it's been brilliant. So thank you ever so much, everybody, for all your lovely questions. Thank you so much for being amazing as always, Dannielle. I'm going to stop the recording right now. And I will try to put this up tonight. If not, it will be tomorrow morning. Thank you so much in all your numbers of coming. It's been brilliant. And the next webinar I will announce soon on Twitter as per normal. And enjoy the rest of your evening or the rest of your day wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you, Joe, as well.
No worries. My pleasure. So there we are.